what's the worst scat? And for those that don't know the technical term, it's poop. I think it's the first time we said poop on the podcast, so we're breaking ground.
Well, I'm glad I can be a part of that. So.
What's the worst scat?
Worst by far, specifically are predators, but fish eaters. It's awful. I would say otters are probably the worst. The worst fecal in the park.
Welcome to Money Market, a Bank of Tampa podcast. We highlight the businesses, expert business advice, the local economy, and points of interest in the Tampa Bay market. Follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and wherever you find your favorite podcasts. And make sure you like, follow, subscribe, and share this episode with a friend or colleague. I am your host, Owen Lefebvre, the Pinellas County Market President for the Bank of Tampa, Tampa Bay's oldest and largest community bank. Today's guest is Chris Massaro, the Senior VP and Chief Zoological Officer at ZooTampa. He attended the University of South Florida, where he studied anthropology, with a focus on biological anthropology and primatology. And throughout his 20-year professional career, Chris has been a pioneer in many of the zoo's programs, including the zoo's first breeding program for rhinoceroses, which successfully led to the birth of 5 threatened one-horned rhinos, which that's your favorite?
Yeah, it's one of my favorite species.
Okay, all right. I look forward to talking about that. Yeah. Also, 9 endangered southern white rhinos. He also managed a progressive elephant program that led to the zoo's first naturally conceived elephant births, and I got a funny story I want to share with you about that. Additionally, Chris served on the steering committee for the to help me with this, and rhinoceroses taxon
advisory group.
Taxon advisory group. What? Yeah. Let me just jump in right there. What is that?
Sure. So within the Association of Zoos and Aquariums, which we are a accredited member of, they bring together a small number of professionals, those with significant experience and expertise with that particular species, to help drive really direction for the care of the animal, development of the programs for, in this case, rhinoceros.
Mm-hmm. So what came first, like your passion for rhinos, or your work there led to the passion for it?
So I actually started at the zoo with a main focus in primates, non-human primates.
Interesting.
Right. Specifically, was a big fan of chimpanzees, and I got an opportunity to work with them for a few years. Fantastic species, really challenging species to work with.
Mm-hmm, sure.
But then I pivoted in my career. I got an opportunity to work with Asian wildlife at the park, specifically the greater one-horned rhino, which is, their region is northern India, Nepal, Assam. So it's a species I kind of cut my teeth on, so to speak, and was the first species I stepped in to do a breeding program with. And we had our first successful rhinoceros birth from that species at the zoo. So the female, Jamie rhino, is an animal I've been working with for 20 years. So fantastic girl. Yeah, she's wonderful. And, folks who know me well and work at the park know that I've got a soft spot for her.
I love it. Well, after 20 years, there's a relationship there, right?
Sure.
I want to tell you my elephant story because I think it was, as someone who's a professional in the industry, you will roll your eyes at me and then also laugh. But my wife loves baby elephants.
Who doesn't?
Right. Yeah. I mean, we're like Dumbo generation, so that's probably where some of that came from. Sure. She has a family history of being around lots of animals. So I let a little bit of time pass after the news and think okay, is there a way to arrange for a private engagement where we could visit the baby elephant, thinking that maybe it's old enough now? And so I called the zoo and did not talk to you, but whoever I talked to, her reaction on the other end was just hilarious. She's like, you want to do what? and I'm like, I obviously want it to be supervised. Don't want to do anything that's inappropriate. And she's like, no, that's not what we do.
Do you know what year this was? Probably 12 years ago or so?
Maybe 10, I feel like, or maybe 12.
Okay. So I was definitely working in the program at the time, and I will tell you, my favorite part of my 20-plus year career is working with baby elephants. Now, they're a handful, but they were so much fun. We had 2 born about 7 months apart.
Now, what's unique about baby elephants?
So elephants in general, incredibly intelligent. Obviously, their size, leads to all sorts of, extra things you've got to focus on. You're not getting an elephant to do anything it doesn't want to. So our training program is paramount that we have, and we do this throughout the park, which is our philosophy, is we want our animals to voluntarily participate in their own care, their veterinary care, husbandry, etc. So everything we do is voluntary. It's all focused on positive reinforcement. super intelligent animals. So training them has been, was one of the highlights of my career. But baby elephants have a lot to learn. They're born at about 200 plus pounds after, nearly
already
2 years,
baby, right?
For sure. But for an adult elephant, their trunk is, their main sensory tool. It's how they, are evaluating their entire environment. Baby elephant doesn't know how to use this trunk. So they get the zoomies just like other kids, puppies, or whatever, run around the habitats, tripping over their trunks. So it's a lot of fun to watch. But
also you don't want to be in the way when they trip over their trunks.
You don't want to be there. Right? Yeah,
for sure. Interesting about elephants, though. I mean, this circus will train them with the little post when they're young enough that they can't break away. But when they get older and they can't make that discernment.
Yeah, so it's something we do very different. We don't use what's referred to as the guide.
Okay.
It's not, in fact, in AZA, it's a tool that we don't allow in accredited facilities anymore. So we always took a strong standpoint that we wouldn't use that because there's some learned helplessness there. There's a negative reinforcement aspect to that. So we wanted to keep everything positive when we work with our animals at the zoo, including the elephants. So everything is focused on what the animal does right, and they're reinforced for doing those behaviors correctly. So if we ask them for something, or we're training them for a specific behavior, which would help in their husbandry, if they do it correctly, they're rewarded for it. If they do it incorrectly, you simply ignore it.
Okay. No punishment, but no reward.
Exactly. Okay. So they learn very quickly.
Yeah, positive reinforcement.
Positive reinforcement. I'm looking to see how we can get a treat. Right.
Man, too bad people weren't that easy. Right?
Well, positive reinforcement works on people too.
Yeah, well, it goes a long way. It goes a long way for sure. So, Chief Zoological Officer, what does your day-to-day look like?
Well, you can imagine at a zoo, your day-to-day can be different any day. So every day is a little bit different, and every day can change.
You do call it the zoo, right? It is a good analogy.
It is a zoo, metaphor. Right? There's a reason they have the, the saying. But first and foremost, my role is to ensure the quality of care for the animals at the park. They're getting the best quality. Our teams are positioned and focused on the welfare of the animals. I always say it's in my philosophy, a zoo should be a spa or resort for animals. I've got a professional team there waiting on every need for the animals that they care for in the park. Food, exercise, we've got, different events they can do. So professional team, highly skilled, highly educated animal care professionals.
How big is the team?
On our team's pushing around 90 people now.
Big team, yeah.
But we have around 1,000 animals. So, it's a big team, but it's, there's a lot that goes into the care of the animals. After that, number one is ensuring the animals are getting the best quality care, right? But also, we want to make sure that we have a very engaging experience for guests coming in. So I think long since past are those days where the zoo is a passive experience. So people just kind of coming in and walking around and looking at animals and habitats. We want it to be very engaging. So we have staff out there engaging with guests. We've come up with a series of what we call our signature encounters, which are very unique experiences guests can participate in. Because the goal is ultimately, we want people coming in, we want them to connect with the animals, connect with each other, connect with the animals, connect with the mission, leave with some sense of real appreciation for the wildlife they've seen at the park, and hopefully take home some small things they can do in their everyday lives that will benefit the animals they just saw at the zoo.
My personal experience with the zoo, so when my kids were young, I have two boys. When they were young, and probably up until 4 or 5, we had annual passes, and it was an easy way just to go kill a few hours, then go play in the fountains, go see the animals, learn something new. Was so disappointed that, 5 or 6, we did everything we possibly could do. And not that they weren't interested, but life gets busy. They're doing sports and other things. We go back for Zubu when 8 and 10. So disappointing that they looked at me and they're like, "Thanks for taking us, Dad. This is the first time we've ever been here." I'm like, are you kidding me?
Right.
We spent countless hours here, and
That's great.
And I think as we started talking through, they remembered some of that. But No, I mean it's an incredible experience for people. Your role is, it's your story rather is really interesting, because you started as an intern, right?
Yeah,
that's incredible to still be with the same organization. Can you talked about a couple of the other positions, but can you walk us through your journey?
I won't go too far back, but I'll go a little bit further than even starting at my internship.
Okay,
and
great.
that's I grew up in New Hampshire, spent a lot of time outdoors, exploring the forest behind my house, acres. I think growing up with a real appreciation for wildlife and the environment. I don't know that it ever really clicked to me that I was going to get into a profession involving animals right away. But if I look back onto it, I can think, I remember my friends in middle school or so, they had all the top athletes posters up on their wall, and I'll date myself a little bit. It's Michael Jordan and Larry Bird and all those guys. So
yeah, the greats.
We're talking a few years ago.
I think we're the same age. So,
all right.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of wildlife posters on my wall. Always had a fascination with animals. As I got closer to college and into college, I took a course on Introduction to Anthropology. One of the sections was on primatology, and it just clicked. I said, that's exactly what I want to do.
What about it clicked?
So again, I think the fascination for wildlife clicked in, and then just how incredibly dynamic primate species in particular are, the social structures. Again, I had a fascination for chimps at the time. So that's why I started my internship. And I was going to University of South Florida. Go Bulls, right?
Go Bulls.
Okay. And received the internship in the primate department at the zoo. I wanted to get a little bit more experience being around them, understanding how they operate, how their social structure,
right in line
behavior.
with your interests, sure.
But at the time, I thought I was going to be in, my plan was to be in some remote part of the world, researching chimpanzees or other primates. What I didn't realize
Jane
was...
Goodall, the next Jane Goodall. Right?
Exactly, right? What I didn't realize was how incredible the operation was at the zoo and how meaningful it would be for me professionally. When I graduated, I was hired into our Florida wildlife section. In that section, they do the manatee rehabilitation program. And that program, which is the heart of our conservation work at the zoo, is what just locked me in. I've been there, hopped around a couple different departments, worked with species from Asia, Africa, elephants, rhinos, chimpanzees, you name it. But really the foundation, I think, was Florida and the manatee program that kept me there. But big picture, the zoo has changed a lot. As you can imagine, the 20 plus years I've been there. Started in 2002. But I could always see the potential in the place. I could always see how special the place was. And, we're now at a point where it's really coming to fruition. It's an exceptional place for families to come, connect with each other, connect with wildlife. And it's, something we're really proud of.
It has come a long way, and there's a lot of exciting things in the works that we will certainly get into. I did want to touch out of curiosity on the name. So after 30 years in 2018, we went from Lowry Park to ZooTampa at Lowry Park. What was behind that? And I guess next question is did you intend or did you get the intended goal in changing the name?
Yeah, I think, part of it is what we didn't want to do was lose the Lowry name. It's something that's very important to us, very important to the history of the zoo. So it is ZooTampa at Lowry Park. But big picture, we were looking to become a brand outside of the local market, outside of the state, national, and at this point now international, right? So having Tampa very prominent in your name, ZooTampa, I think,
better for branding.
Absolutely, better for branding.
People know where you're at.
Yep.
Okay. And you're certainly on the map, so I look forward to. Let's jump into it. And in 2023, Zoo was named one of the top 10 zoos by USA Today. So received the significant achievement in North Carolina or North America conservation by the Association of Zoo and Aquariums, and that was the work for the manatee rehabilitation program. What do you think has, driven that recent success?
Yeah, I think it's a few things, but number one is the commitment to quality. We want to have exceptional programs. We want to have an exceptional product. The evolution, for my role in particular is, first of all, focus on the product at hand, make sure it's exceptional. And then from there, is you continue to brand it, but have engaging experiences in the park. And then from there, really focus on what the future vision is of the zoo.
Wait, what is the procurement process? I mean, the conversations that you all have as a leadership team, and specifically you and your role about what animals to bring in, what areas to highlight. Yeah. What does that process look like?
So we have what we call a animal population plan, which develops, we usually revamp it at least every 5 years, sometimes more frequently, based on our future planning. But first and foremost, we live in the Tampa Bay area. So when we're identifying species for the population, we want to make sure they're species that are going to do well in the Tampa climate. So
that would make
sorry
sense.
For polar bear fans out there, but we're not going to be bringing polar bears into Tampa anytime soon.
Yeah,
we're not. So animals like I had mentioned before, white rhinos, African elephants. These are species that are great for our climate. Tigers, those things. So we focus on these types of species that will do well here. We know we've got the expertise on the team that can care well for them. They're programs that we believe we can support. Sometimes there are species that need additional support and additional space. So when we talk about the Association of Zoos and Aquariums, or AZA, which I'll refer to in our conversation quite a bit, we all network together. So we don't work in competition with one another. We work as a network to support the sustainability of the species we care for. So each species has coordinators, what we call species survival coordinators, or SSPs, and stud book coordinators. And they do very similar to what you would think, maybe horse stud books will have. They have all the genetics of animals in the area or a particular population, so we know what animals to breed with others. So we're constantly moving animals from one zoo to another to make sure we're ensuring good genetics. We don't want too many animals. We want to make sure we have proper space for them. And so if there are species we know need additional space, additional zoos to pick them up to develop space, we'll look into that. We know we have the expertise, and living in Tampa Bay area, we've got the right climate to really do, I think, maybe even more work than some of, certainly the northern zoos are doing excellent work. But our climate allows us to really have animals outside year-round, 24/7 year-round. So with that, luxury to a certain degree, I think it puts additional responsibility on us to support these programs that can help build sustainability for these other species. So that's one of the decisions we make, make sure we can support them, make sure they're animals from the right areas.
So part of the husbandry and exchanging animals and making sure that the genetics are consistent. Do you buy and sell animals? I feel like there's a misconception at sometimes that's part of the zoo's business.
Yeah. So buying and selling of animals really doesn't occur in zoos. So we work in collaboration as a network with other AZA accredited facilities in order to support the sustainability of the populations of animals we're caring for. So typically, animals will move from zoos to zoos quite often, and it's because they're matching up for breeding programs or sometimes just another zoo to go and live if we are running out of space at our zoo. But the animals go there really on a loan basis. So animals are going from zoo to zoo, typically on loan or donation to those parks. And again, this isn't about, we don't see the animals as a commodity. We see them as being priceless. So this is all about supporting their overall survival than, the bottom line.
As part of that AZA certification is that you don't engage in those type of activities?
Right.
Okay. What was, I guess, so when I think of all the space and the animals and our unique climate here, it really positions the zoo for the ability to do, something bigger and grander, kind of referring to that national stage that you had mentioned earlier. Yeah. Was there something in the line of thinking that there was this aha moment that like, hey, we could be more than what we are right now, and let's shift gears?
Yeah, for sure. Again, I had mentioned, growing up with the organization, I always saw the potential that it could be a lot more than what we were at the time.
Yeah.
And we're really there. Along the way, there were things. So we have a show that we've participated in, Secrets of the Zoo Tampa.
Yeah, and Nat Geo, right? Or Disney?
Produced Nat
Disney
Geo
Plus?
Wild,
Okay.
so now streaming on Disney Plus. And that gave us a great platform to tell our stories, provide our messaging to really an international audience at this time. So back in February, I had an opportunity to work with a couple of zoos in Korea. And when I got there, they all mentioned that they watched the show.
Oh, wow.
And I thought, how fantastic that,
Incredible.
people in Korea are watching the Tampa show. So, there is an aha moment. We know we have a great product. We provide great guest experience, great animal care, but beyond that, the conservation work, that's, strong local, but also global, that when somebody walks into the zoo, it's important for people to understand that the zoo itself, what we're doing is bigger than the operation you'll see when you walk into the park.
How did the show come about?
So we got an opportunity to participate in the show. It was a bit of a process. I think everybody had to initially, especially us on the animal side, we often get a little protective of the animals and, new faces around. But we had to get comfortable with
Especially those elephants, apparently.
Cameras and mics and all this fun stuff that you see in here. The animals
It's a lot,
don't know
I'm
what it
sure,
is.
Well as the need to protect people,
Yeah,
right? I mean, these are people that are interfacing with animals that they may not know what they're capable of.
So we had, as you can imagine, we had a lot of safety protocols in place. But also, the comfort in understanding that everything you do at the zoo, which the guests coming in day out don't necessarily see every part of the operation. Well, we're walking into the show and we're going to show every part of the operation so we can pull the curtain back, have full transparency what a zoo operation looks like. I say the good, the bad and everything. And when I say the bad, I mean, people understand that animals, like people, get sick sometimes and we care for them for their whole lives. So at some point, animals pass away. And we didn't shy away from telling those stories because we thought it was important for people to get the full story. And even when we do a lot of our social media and things like that, it's important for us to take our guests on the full journey of each animal we care for. So we don't shy away from those things. We want people to understand the care and dedication that goes into running an operation at a zoo. It took us quite some time to get comfortable with the film crew, but we completed 4 seasons. By second season, we knew the team. They knew us. They were comfortable. There was trust there. We knew exactly how to operate with one another. And, the last couple seasons were easy.
Yeah, it seems like it's a hit. I've seen a couple episodes and it's good. It's it's Nat Geo. It's well done.
It's a great product.
Yeah. So what happens when you have a large mammal that passes? I mean, I don't know if you've had any elephants or rheinoceros that have passed, but I mean,
I don't like to talk about that
well,
stuff.
I know, but that's a large animal. Yeah. And what do you do with that?
Yeah. So, we're not going to the cemetery and digging a hole and putting them in there.
Right,
so it's, those folks out there who have lost pets know how, first of all, how difficult that is. Yeah. But there's a process for what they do to the pets after they pass. You can, usually it's cremation, and we do similar process like that for animals that pass at the zoo.
And so it's on site?
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's taken off site.
Okay. There's one thing of, having a 30-pound dog or, a 1,000-pound plus mammal.
Well, I try to remind people, they have pets at home, and that's one way they can relate to what we do. Just think of your pet at home and then amplify it by, 10 times. It's what we do at the zoo.
So running a zoo, has to be like running a city. What are some operational and financial elements of running a zoo?
Yeah. So, there are a lot of focus on maintenance, obviously, throughout the park, but also, all the animal expenses that go along with it too. What we feed the animal population of the zoo. This also includes the manatee population in our hospital. Is around, the budget's close to $1.4 million just to feed the animals at the park.
Wow.
So it's a significant expense for about a little more than 1,000 animals at the park. So,
what about some of the operational component? I mean, how big? You mentioned your staff is 90 to take care of the animals. I mean, how big is the staffing for the rest of the zoo?
Yeah, we've got a really large staff. Everything from the folks who help keep the park clean to the folks that are repairing things on the. We've got education staff because we have a zoo school on site as well. Folks doing interpretive out in front of the park. Retail, food and beverage. So I don't want to get my numbers wrong, but I think we're probably in the span of around 400 employees.
Okay, well, I mean that's a lot to manage.
Yeah.
Do you know offhand what the economic impact is of the zoo to the area?
Yeah, not the specific numbers, but clearly we're focused on that. The zoo over the last several years have been able to increase employment at the park, and certainly as we look to transform the park and invest more, both in our current footprint and hopefully beyond, we're hoping that it causes some additional investment in local communities around the zoo as well.
Okay. No, I mean that area is, and I know it's a little bit of a loaded term, but I think gentrified and seems to be evolving and improving, certainly. I mean, I think it was one of those areas in the community that was a little downtrodden for a little bit, but it certainly seems to be resurging.
For sure.
And I think the zoo has a lot to do with that. What about you're operating a business, other economic pressures. I mean, we've experienced inflation. There's been a big pull on labor, tariffs, I don't know, but changes in tourism trends. So, I mean, how have you been able to navigate all that?
Yeah, it's a challenge. We've got to be very strategic into every year we're going into to try and take a look at all the headwinds that we're going to face in the coming year. Make sure that we're nimble and we can be flexible in our approach, but have our best way to address those headwinds. The park itself, we focused really on, we want to make it a destination, a really unique product that we have here, different from other zoos. So when people visit Tampa, we want to make sure they're visiting the zoo for sure, but also local in the community. We want to make sure we continue to have things that help with repeat visitation. We don't want just a member to come once or so. We want people to want to come back and continue to return several times. And
so need to change it up. Need to have programming
for sure. Put some things in there too to help the duration of the stay as well. You mentioned the splash pads earlier. It's a great opportunity for families. They can just come for that and spend a couple hours in the splash pad, have lunch, and then go back.
But check out the birds or something.
Yeah, but we've brought in new habitats over the year, new animals, new attractions. Brought in things like our dinos, which is a lot of fun. Guests seem to love those. And about every 5 years, we've got a new generation of kids that want to come see all the dinos, and it's been a great product for us. But
I got to leave, kind of Jurassic Park, updating a movie every 5 years. So.
Well, that helps too. Keep the kids engaged.
That's right.
But even the seasonal events, you had mentioned our Halloween event, which is Creatures of the Night, and Christmas in the Wild is our other one. Continue to have events like that keep transform the zoo, so it's it's a little different throughout the year, and give people a reason to come back.
Yeah,
back and back.
How does the zoo invest in education outside of the zoo in the community?
Well, as you can imagine, education is significantly important to what we do and our mission at the park. Be able to get that information out. So we have strong summer camp programs that happen, throughout the summers, but also our outreach program, which we can take our ambassador program, which are, when I talk about our ambassador program, it's specific animals that tend to go out in the park, and we can have them kind of engage with people. So you have your animals in the habitats, then you have your ambassador animals that are coming out to where the people are, right? Well, a lot of those animals we can take out to different schools. So we've got a program called Nature's Nurtures, and we've been able to take some of these ambassador programs to zoos in the local community to engage with them, get them excited about the parks. Some of these kids don't get an opportunity to go to the zoo very often, maybe at all.
I'm sure it's a great experience, especially
so the zoo can come to them.
To you. Yeah,
right?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Talking about the conservation, I want to go back to that a little bit, because outside of the manatees, you're known not only locally but nationally and maybe internationally for some of that work. Can you dig a little bit more into that?
Yeah, so there are several layers to the conservation work we do at the zoo. I'll kind of try to walk through that a little bit, but It's everything from the messaging and the engagement we have in the park every day to try to hopefully get people connected with wildlife and take home some kind of hopefully action plan that they can do in their lives. Just little things that they can find out that will impact the species that they just saw at the zoo. So, for example, buy sustainable palm oil will help save wild orangutans. The orangutans you just saw at the park, they're wild counterparts. Very simple things. So choose this candy bar instead of that one. Really easy things you can do in your life. I mentioned the SSP programs earlier on. So these are programs that build the sustainability of the populations we care for. So these are insurance populations we have at the zoo and in the AZA accredited facilities. There have been times, and there are species right now that we care for, like the Panamanian golden frog, that are extinct in the wild. They only exist because of the conservation efforts that AZA accredited zoos and their conservation partners put together to support those species. In addition to that, we do some breed and release programs. So there's species that we breed at the park. Specifically right now, one of the species we do are the striped newt, and we are able to release them in the state of Florida. We also do the Puerto Rican crested toad, which we go back to Puerto Rico and release them in their native range. So these are really hands-on significant programs that we're doing that are increasing the numbers of the species that we're losing.
Sure.
Aside from that, we do programs with rehabilitation, rescue rehabilitation, and release of species, like the Florida manatee, but we've also worked with other species, including the Florida panther. So those are programs we're really proud of, make significant impact right here in the state of Florida, and that's one of the things that I think makes Zoo Tampa unique from national zoos is Florida, right? Yeah. So I want to focus on that. Outside of that, we support programs across the globe, and including sending staff members to specific programs, boots on the ground. We've had them in South Africa, Namibia, Australia, Costa Rica. Wow. So all over, there are, when I say, when guests walk into the park, they see, hopefully have a great experience. But the zoo is much larger than what you'll see in the operation when you come to the park.
I would think there'd be a lot of value for the staff as well to see some of those locations, you mentioned in Africa specifically, see the natural environment that the animals came from.
Yeah, a lot of our folks, including myself to a certain degree, probably wouldn't have the opportunity to go to some of these places if they weren't going to support the conservation efforts that we're supporting through the zoo. So it's a great opportunity to get them out. It's hard work, but it's incredibly rewarding work. And that's one of the reasons why people work at the zoo, right? Nobody's working there, certainly in animal care they're not going to make millions doing it. We know that. It's a passion job. Something we love doing. It's something that is bigger than we are. And we know we're putting the effort to, hopefully make a positive impact in the world.
What do you think about some of the efforts of bringing back some extinct animals, like the dire wolf, and they're working on the woolly mammoth? And what do you think about that?
So I was waiting for that question, and we can probably do a whole podcast on just this way. So I think, there's a level of sensationalism there, and there's a lot of folks who, everybody has an opinion on it. But I think it's important for us to let the science do the talking. I will say that I have friends and colleagues that are working on some of these programs that I know very well, that are exceptional people, passionate about what they do, and really believe in the conservation work they're doing. So, I want to be clear on that, because there's some people who are excited about the opportunity, some people who are really against what some of that work is, right? But the people working in the program, I think, are very passionate about it and really believe in it. So when I say, let's focus on the science of it, this isn't Jurassic Park, right? Their goals, from what I understand, is they're not looking to produce a woolly mammoth that they keep in a park somewhere. The idea is that the de-extinction project is part of a rewilding project. So, for example, their thylacine or Tasmanian tiger program. The program is designed to reintroduce an apex predator into the region it used to exist in. We know there's evidence in Yellowstone that the reintroduction of an apex predator in a region has significant benefits for the environment that they live in. Mm-hmm. So the gray wolf getting reintroduced in Yellowstone was a success. We saw tons of different species come back. We saw the environment come back. And so it's very positive. But it's not really a Tasmanian tiger that they're going to produce. It is, to a certain degree, a species that's engineered to be as close to a Tasmanian tiger as possible.
But not exactly Tasmanian tiger.
So this is where, kind of the
unintended
ethical
consequences. Yeah.
Dilemma comes in. I tend to feel, and I think a lot of people do, there are a lot of species that exist right now. We can save now if we invest the resources and the support into those species that were disappearing from the planet. And I think my priority would be going in that direction.
Okay. How does the zoo partner with other organizations locally? I feel like there's a good partnership with the aquarium, but I mean, are there other organizations? I mean, please touch on the aquarium, but other organizations in the community that you work with to help drive tourism and awareness?
Sure. I believe that, you talk about zoos and aquariums, museums, theaters. These are all things that, increase the quality of life of the folks in the community. So working together, and having the best product possible enhances the city itself. It makes it, a place for people can really enjoy living, and B, a place people want to come visit. So having those partnerships, I think, are essential. There are a couple AZA accredited facilities right here in Tampa. It's the aquarium and Bush. And actually, we're partnering with them this fall to host the annual AZA conference, which is, it's all the delegates from zoos and aquariums from around the world. We'll probably have somewhere near 3,000 plus delegates here in Tampa in the fall, hosted by our 3 AZA accredited facilities we're partnering with. And, the fact that, they want to come to Tampa, I think it's a no-brainer. We've got an exceptional product here, an exceptional city, excited to show off. So, I think the fact that we continue to work together, we have all these incredible cultural facilities, zoos and aquariums, it's a no-brainer to have it in Tampa, right?
No, man. And actually, going back to that national stage, if they're willing to come here, I think that speaks volumes. Yep. So nice job. I think also every generation is different. We mentioned, we were talking about Jurassic Park coming out every year, but how do you keep relevant for like the next generation and the younger kids that are growing up in the community? Yeah.
So I look at this not only the folks coming in the park, but the folks that are coming to the zoo to work. I would be naive to think that the perspective of the folks coming into work have the same perspective I had when I was first starting at the zoo. It's very different.
I see in my profession, absolutely.
Absolutely. So, one thing is to kind of step outside yourself and really understand the people you're working with and the people that are coming to the park as well, too. One thing I think is very important, and we had mentioned this earlier on, is transparency. The folks now coming to the zoo, want an engaging experience. They don't want a passive experience. They want fun, and we could provide them with that. But they also want transparency. They want to know that the park they're coming to, the animals are well cared for, I think first and foremost. And B, they want to know that you're doing more than just displaying the animals too, right? That there's real conservation work, and we can tell that story when they come in and make sure they're aware that, again, there's a lot more to the zoo experience than what you'll have day in, day out.
You up for a lightning round?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, all right. This one I just think is I'm very curious your opinion, but Ace Ventura, Nature Calls, the rhino scene.
Yeah, so I will tell you, my wife will give me a hard time, but there was a day when she walked in, and my son was probably 6 at the time, and he and I are just belly laughing, curled over, and she's like, "What are you two fools doing? That's ridiculous." I'm like, "Yeah, it's hilarious." So I think that movie is very funny.
So you approve. All right. Not appalled, approved.
Yeah.
What's one thing that most people don't know about working at a zoo?
Yeah, I think what I had mentioned earlier on, I don't know that people really think about, the full spectrum of care that goes into the animals. We're there the day they're born, and we're there to, be with them on the day they pass. So, and everything in between. So it's, the people that work there are incredibly passionate and dedicated to what they do. They're there around the clock at sometimes doing the work they can to care for the animals. And much like folks who have, pets as family members, and when they lose them, those folks who are professional zoo caretakers feel the same way. The loss of an animal, it's a member of the family. It hurts, So there are a lot of highs and lows in the profession.
Yeah, I can imagine it being really emotional, especially after, like you said, 20 years of a relationship with an animal. Okay, what's the worst scat? And for those that don't know the technical term, it's poop. I think it's the first time we said poop on the podcast, so we're breaking ground.
Well, I'm glad I can be a part of that. So.
What's the worst scat?
Worst by far, specifically are predators. But fish eaters, it's awful. I would say otters are probably the worst. worst vehicle in the park.
I thought you were going to say elephants just because of its size and scale.
Well, it's big, but those animals that only eat hay and vegetation all the time, it's not really so bad.
Not like fish.
Yeah, but fish, no, it's not great.
If you could bring in any species from around the world, what would it be?
I think I would bring in. At one point, some zoos here in the States had Sumatran rhinos. They're now all over in Sumatra, both naturally and in a breeding facility. But Sumatran rhinos are a species that we unfortunately may lose, but not many people know about them. I don't think there's enough publicity about them. Were you even aware of the Sumatran rhino?
First time I'm hearing.
So it's a smaller rhino. They're fuzzy. They're beautiful, but I don't know that we'll have them 10 years from now. So, one of the things that zoos really do well is promote these species and promote the challenges they have out there and get people excited about them and build an advocacy for these species. So to have that species come in, promote it, let people be aware of what's going on with it, and hopefully make some changes to support it.
Is that the only fuzzy rhino?
That's the only fuzzy rhino.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be a shame. I'd love to see it. I'll look it up after this.
Okay.
If you could take any animal home for a week, what would it be?
I worked quite a bit with chimps, rhinos, and elephants over the years, and I wouldn't want any of those in my house. So, in some cases, I have brought some animals home that we've cared for here and there. But I would say maybe a tamandua. Tamandua is, they call it a lesser anteater from South America.
Okay.
This one in particular, he's kind of a rough guy, Gustavo. We just brought him in this past year, so he's got to get some manners first, but it's just a beautiful little guy, and they're a lot of fun.
All right. So you have an illegal alien there, Sandwich.
Iguana. Sandwich the iguana.
So I understand he hitched a ride from Cuba.
That's right.
What's his story?
So he was a confiscation, and often, we'll be, the state or the feds will reach out and let us know that they have a confiscation and see if we have the ability to provide a home for it. In Sandwich's case, we did. He was a stowaway, so but he
from
has
Guantanamo, right?
Yeah, that's right. So he's been with the zoo for a number of years, and the exciting thing is, right now he's living behind the scenes. But early 2026, we'll be opening our new Reptile and Amphibian Discovery Center, which will really focus on, I would say, reptiles in general, but certainly snakes need some good PR. They're fantastic animals. They're needed. They help balance the environment, but a lot of people are nervous about them.
They do. We had one at the house that I wasn't thrilled about. My wife is my wife's, and interesting enough, but I don't love them. I don't hate them. They're just there. But yes, they could use a better PR agent.
Hey, exactly. And that's what we're hoping to do. We're hoping to tell the story there of the species we have. We're going to have a lot of venomous snakes in that habitat as well, but also highlight some of our conservation programs we do worldwide, and talk about invasives here in the state of Florida, which our friend Sandwich is a perfect example, because there are a lot of iguanas in the state of Florida that probably shouldn't have been here. Yeah,
no, it's especially in South Florida, it's a little bit of an issue.
Exactly.
Chris, before we wrap up, I know you have some other exciting projects going on and planned at the zoo, including next year, I think another manatee conservation area that's opening up. But can you share with the listeners some of those things?
Sure. The most exciting thing we have that's directly on the horizon in 2026 is the expansion of our Florida Waters area, which will be the largest expansion of the zoo in some time. It includes reptile and amphibian discovery, which I mentioned. Also a brand new state-of-the-art otter habitat. And then enhancement of actually all new area, which is our manatee rescue area, which will include, that area is going to be kind of the story of the manatee. We'll have underwater viewing and a number of aquariums, but it's really the story of the manatee and the environments in which they live and the different species which they may come in contact in those environments. So we have the freshwater tank, which has all our patients from the Manatee Hospital that people can come and see and hear the story about the work we do with the manatees. But also we'll have jelly tanks in there. We'll have a beautiful reef tank, saltwater reef tank, and then a brackish tank that will have, things like snook and things like that.
Oh, so, beautiful. Yeah, no, that's going to be
excited about
a lot of fun. You already have the relationship with Nat Geo and Disney Plus. You need your manatee version of Hope the Dolphin.
Oh, yeah. well, the thing with the manatees is, and ideally, none of the animals that come in will be permanent residents. The goal is to get them all back out in the Florida waters, which kind of, is the perfect name for the area in which our hospital exists. Right? There you go.
The rescue, the release of Hope or Winter, or whatever we call our manatee, or sea cow. Chris, anything else you want the listeners to know before we wrap this up?
No, I just really appreciate this time. It gives us an opportunity to talk about our platform and the things we have ahead. We've got an exciting vision for the transformation of the zoo far beyond Florida waters, which will include hopefully a South American realm, which we don't currently have represented, renovations to our reimagining of our Africa and Asia realms. So a lot of excitement for the zoo in the future.
It is a great asset. So appreciate all the work that you're doing just to, bring attention to really, important issue in the animals, but also creating a great experience. It's a big economic driver. So very much appreciate that. Everybody go check out the zoo, go to, Nat Geo and watch the show there. If listeners want to get involved or support the zoo, how would you recommend they do that?
Well, really the best way is, come to the zoo and enjoy the day. Every time you come into the zoo, you're supporting all the initiatives. You're supporting the rescue, rehabilitation, and release programs we have. You're supporting the conservation programs we have around the world. So come, enjoy yourself, and hopefully make some small changes in your life that can help the animals you see at the zoo.
Well, and it's constantly evolving. So please, come back and check out the new exhibits. And this next year is going to be exciting. So, Chris, thanks for coming on Money Market.
My pleasure.
You can find the Money Market Podcast and the Bank of Tampa online, as well as on YouTube, LinkedIn, X, Facebook, and on Instagram. Before you leave, make sure you hit that like, follow, or subscribe button, and we'll be sure to see you around in the Money Market.